huge win for the Raptors last night against the Cleveland Cavaliers. They won 117-104. I'm Savanna Hamilton alongside Paul Jones and Sherman Hamilton. Amy Audibert will be joining us just a little bit later. Now, the Raptors, what a win, especially for Pascal Siakam. He had quite the game, 35 points, Jonesy.
Yeah.
Just exciting basketball to watch because he was really getting into all the spots that he wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, he was terrific all night. He brought the three-point shot in that win, too. He was 6 of 7 from behind the arc. But it's been like that for a while, Savannah, when you look at it. Pascal's been able to get 2 feet into the paint. He's done a terrific job on the dribble. He's changing speed. He's changing directions. He's leaning into guys. And once he gets 2 feet in the paint, it's game over. It's lights out. He's either scoring or he's kicking it out, and they're moving the ball to get a good shot. So, last night, or that game against Cleveland, it all started with Pascal doing whatever he wanted, and the Cavs had to react, and the Raptors made the commensurate reactions to score. Even though Pascal had 30-plus for the 40th time in his career, he's only behind, I wouldn't say he's in a class by himself, but other than Bosch, Carter, and a couple other guys, Pascal's right up at the top of the list.
And who did he just pass?
He just passed Kyle Lowry.
That says something. That says something. Now, Sherm, the rest of the team, the bench in particular, they also had some solid contributions. Chris Boucher had a great night. We're going to get to him a little bit later in the show, but let's talk a little bit about Precious Achiuwa, what you saw from Thad Young. What impressed you the most from the bench?
Everything. They scored the basketball, and that's something that the Raptors have been waiting for. A consistent bench, a group that can go out there and Nick Nurse can trust to be out there and provide offense, defense, energy especially, and all those guys are doing that. And when you think about the ability of that bench to score, 43 points in that game, that's a solid game off the bench, and understand that they are a group that moving forward, Nick is going to rely on. You're making a march towards the playoffs. In the playoffs, we know that rotation can get shaved down. Who is going to be called on by Nick Nurse? Who's going to be a part of that rotation? I think right now, this group on the bench with Thad Young, as you said, Chris Boucher, Precious Achiuwa, and I love the fact that the young fella, Armoni Brooks, is coming out there and playing great basketball. So he's got a few guys that are providing some real options for him, and this is what they've been waiting for.
And don't worry, we will be talking about Armoni Brooks a little bit later as well. But, we just like to see that whole holistic game from everybody. Those are the wins that you want to see, especially heading into playoffs soon to be, right? And I also think about the fact that, different contributions from Boucher, from Armoni, from different guys. And this is now we're seeing a healthy Raptors team. Still without Gary Trent Jr., but regardless, a healthy Raptors team. And so now we're going to listen to the players following last night's win.
No, I just think we've been working on it, and I've been talking to one of the coaches, John, and call him 6'9", and Fab and all those people I work out with, and we've been talking about like increasing my the amount of shots that I take, So we've been working on that a lot, and it was going in, and when it goes in, you feel like shooting more. So it felt good. For sure. There's another person out there you can kick the ball to, and I think that, he's going to be open, and if they dare, they help off of him. I mean, it's going to be always open, and he's going to make those shots. So I'm definitely glad to have him back. Obviously, he's not like where he probably wants to be, but it just felt super good to have him out there, someone else to kick the ball to, and that's going to make plays, and he's going to come out, play defense. So I was really impressed with the fact that he hasn't played, and he came back and played like he did today. So good job to OG. I mean, it was a good game. It was a big game. I think every game is a big game. We talked about yesterday. It's 9-10 games left. It's like all these games count. So when we go out there, that's our mentality, trying to win every single one of them. And I think, it's a big opponent. They're in front of us in the standings, and we're trying to, crawl up out there. So, it was a big game. Yeah, I think, again, coming out, those, like I said, those 10 games or whatever that we have left in the season is super important. And we have a good stretch home, and we want to be able to, come out, with some energy, play hard, and get wins at home. And that's kind of like our advantage, and we want to keep that. And again, it's been weird, sometimes there was fans, there was no fans. It's been a weird year a little bit at home. So, but I think that, the guys are conscious of it, and we want to come out and give it our effort every single night. To me, it feels like it's physical every single night. Just driving and just the physicality, with someone that has the ball most of the time, is like, like you can feel it for sure. So, it feels like that every night for me, I'll say. I think we again, there's how many games left, so like we have to be ready. So, we had a long year, a lot of ups and downs. But I just think that at this point of the season, it's just, continuing to improve as a team and also just like little things that we want to do, knowing, situations in the game. And I think more familiarity, like playing with those guys and kind of everyone understanding, like, okay, like when we need something, we know where to go. And like, and I think that that's super important, for the playoffs.
How is the finger feeling for the ball?
It's getting better. It's improving.
Are there particular moments when you feel it? Is it like when you're shooting or dribbling or?
Yeah, shooting, dribbling, catching. Those are the main parts. Defense, trying to get a steal, like rebounds. Feel it all the time, yeah. Oh, for sure. It was broken, so it definitely affected me. I think we complement each other well. We're both 6'8", 6'9", athletic, can shoot, so it's tough for teams to guard. And then with Scotty, Precious, Chris, Fred, Gary, Thad, the whole team, like all of us, we complement each other well, and I think we're tough to guard. I think it was a good start. It's been a while, so even just playing is a good start. So just being out there was fun. It's been a while. I miss playing. Playing with my teammates, seeing them, interacting with the coaches and stuff on the court. It's fun. So I missed it a lot. Just knowing the season's about to end soon and the playoffs are going to start, and wanting to get a rhythm before the playoffs started. So.
Did you surprise yourself a little? You went 4 of 8 from 3 your first time out. Was that?
No.
Yeah. You were expecting it to be that good right off the bat?
Yeah.
Now we got to talk about OG Anunoby. He returned to the lineup last night. How refreshing was it to see him out there? He didn't have the best stat line, I guess, as we're used to him this season, but he still contributed 14 points, 4 of 11. Yeah. Which is solid when you're coming back from injury, especially. So what did you make of his performance?
Well, I thought OG hit the floor running, and that's important. He's coming back from missing so many games, but it was great to see OG look like he was in shape. He looked like he still had his rhythm in terms of his cardiovascular ability, and his shot was going to be hit or miss. His first shot was an air ball. He went out there, he got the next shot and let it fly right away and made it. So the confidence is there. He's got to get his rhythm back, but his cardio was great. And then the other side of it is all of his makes, all 4 of his made field goals were 3-point shots. So it shows that even though it's a hand injury, he's confident, he's willing to take those shots, he's not shying away from it. But how about the chase down block? OG showing what he can do defensively, and that's the best thing about OG. You'll see him in the game. You don't have to look at the stat line to figure out his impact. You can feel it in the game, and to see OG hit the ground running the way he did and immediately help his team in a big game is something we've been waiting a while to see, and it's great to see OG back out there with the Raptors.
Fair enough. He definitely passes the eye test. That is
question
for
about
sure.
it.
But, one thing you mentioned is the fact that he came back with great cardio. That just speaks to his professionalism and just knowing exactly where he needs to contribute immediately on the team. And you mentioned also confidence, and he didn't lack that last night. But what we also saw throughout the season gradually be built is Chris Boucher's confidence, of course. Right. So, speak to me a little bit about what you've seen from Boucher throughout the season, because he's been having such phenomenal performances as of recently, but it didn't always start out like that.
No, it didn't. He tried to play off last year and really stay on the floor by making 3-point shots. Mm-hmm. And it kind of got him into a little trouble. He lost his way. He got away from the guy that came into the league blocking shots, running the floor, providing energy, and now he's gotten back to that. The bench, much maligned, but let's face it, Boucher's a mainstay off the bench right now. You get guys back healthy, OG, Fred. Now the bench guys, and the bench has been much maligned, can kind of fall into their role. Chris has had 3 straight games where he's had at least 10 points and at least 5 rebounds. And he's got a stretch going right now where over the last 3 games where he's basically averaging a double-double. And you're seeing a guy who is working on the basics, running the floor, blocking shots, spotting up for threes, cutting to the basket, working on the offensive glass. It's not just one thing in his game that he figures is going to keep him on the floor. He's discovered now, if I do all these other things, I'll stay on the floor. Mm-hmm. And Nick Nurse will never take you off the floor for bad shots.
No, exactly.
If you miss defensive assignments, you don't hustle, you're going to sit down. So Chris figured that out. Yep. Hey, man, get out there, run the floor, hustle, take the shots when they come to me, and I'll be fine.
And I believe in that philosophy. Honestly, it was cool to see his transition this past season because he kind of went from doing a little bit too much to then peeling back his game and taking it game by game, kind of like going back to what we see in maybe Boucher even 2 seasons ago. Yeah. And then now adding back the tools that he was trying to do in the beginning of the season, but this time he's just gradually introducing that.
It's like putting it together, right?
Exactly.
Go back to the instructions and try again, right?
It's like an IKEA chair. Anyways, now we're going to hear from head coach Nick Nurse.
Yeah, yep. You know, we get into some a little bit funky situations with the way we, you know, sub with so many, you know, wings out there sometimes, and Freddie comes off. And, you know, one of the things we tried to do tonight was have either Freddie or Armoni out there, just one kind of smaller catch and shoot guy, and then one of them would take. Armoni ended up on LeVert a lot, and I thought he did a decent job on him. Again, we just talked about that in the game about Kenny, like, and you know, there was a couple times in the game where I just said, dude, you got to be more aggressive on D. And he did it, and he knocked the ball away, and he blocked it. You know, he just started he kind of started playing a little bit more free on defense instead of so cautious, right? So that was a good, I think, step forward for him on that end of the floor. Answering your question at all, Doug. Sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, it was huge. I mean, listen, I think Freddie sees a night where they're covering him pretty much with 2 all night, and so he's not, but he's still like absolutely. I mean, he made some unbelievable great plays defensively. You know, just coming around. You know how he does. He blindsides guys and rips the ball away from them, and it was really patient. He didn't get him many looks, but then he got a few in a row there and he hit them. Pascal obviously was dominant on the offensive end. Just everything he did seemed to be the right decision, and OG out there as well. But listen, you know, I told the guys before the game, I said, Chris and Precious and Thad, they need to feel you guys, man, when they hit the game. I mean, when you guys hit the game, they need to feel you, and I mean just your speed and your length and your rebound. I mean, they need to. We need one of those relentless nights on the glass from you guys. And I thought, especially Thad and Chris had great games, and then Precious had his moments there in the critical times where he made some good plays. So I thought, you know, and Armoni impacted the game. I thought the bench guys did a heck of a job. I didn't look at their plus minuses, but I bet it's pretty good. Yeah, a lot of pluses and a big 19 for Chris, right? Yeah, I mean, I thought first of all, I thought his biggest plays early were offensively in them, like putting him and Freddie were playing pick and roll, and they were putting 2 on Freddie, and Freddie was rightly getting off the ball to Thad, and he was, you know, firing it somewhere, hitting a cutter, or taking one and scoring on his own. I just thought he felt like a really safe pair of hands there. You know, you take your chances if you want to take it out of Fred's hands. And I'm going to veer off your question just a little bit too. And even Precious made a great read. They blitzed off Precious. We hit Precious, and he hit Scotty sliding down the lane for a dunk. I mean, those are things like that we're going to see, and we're going to have to be able to just, you know, we work on them like crazy, and it's nice to see some progress there. But I agree with you. I thought Thad was mixing it up, you know, pretty physically tonight, and that was good to see as well. He was showing some great leadership there by playing so physical. Well, pretty good. I think there's a lot of times. I mean, there's a lot of times I think when you come out of a game and you would say, "Man, we were the physical team tonight." A lot of times. No, there's every now and then where we get hemmed up in some holding and things like that, and we can't, like the other night in Chicago, we couldn't make a cut with much force the other night. They were physical, and I don't think, you know, again, but most of the nights yeah, we're gonna put a physical thing, on you. And I think you're seeing a lot of that in ball handling, guys taking it in there, landing it, being able to deliver some blows while they're carrying the ball, which is good.
Now we got to talk about Armoni Brooks. He's on his second 10-day with the Raptors. And if you look at the stat line, like we were talking about a little bit before, maybe not the best, but the eye test, once again, never fails. What did you make from what you saw from him last night?
Well, first of all, I see a kid who's very confident and has fit into what Toronto's trying to do. He's out there on the floor, and we talked about earlier about Nick. Play the defense, hustle, work hard, you'll be okay. He'll look past anything that people might think is a questionable shot. Armoni Brooks had a great chase down block last night at an important part of the game. And then you get him on the offensive end, and he doesn't force things. He's not afraid to take shots when they come to him, but he's not trying to go rogue. He plays within the system, the ball moves, comes to him, offensive rebound, they swing the ball out to him. He's not afraid to let it go. So I see a kid who's really confident and has done a good job in his 2 10-day contracts in fitting into what the team wants him to do.
Yeah, if you want to stick on the Raptors team, you know that the Raptors prioritize hustle and defense, and that's exactly what he's bringing to the team, along with energy and just being that spark off of the bench as well. But a long narrative that has been going on this whole entire season, Evan Mobley, Scotty Barnes, who's going to get Rookie of the Year? They both played against each other last night. Very similar games overall in the stat-wise throughout the season. But what did you make of the performance last night? Who had the upper hand? And who do you think is kind of edging towards it throughout the season?
If I start at the end, I would say that I would want the team's record to determine this because their numbers are so close statistically. And Evan Mobley got out the blocks early. He was a favorite for the majority of the season. Scotty Barnes has done a great job running him down late in the season and putting himself in position to have that conversation of who's the Rookie of the Year. But both these guys are quality young players. Their skill sets are very wide and rangy, and the ability to impact winning. Both of these guys have significant impact on winning. So they're a valuable part of their team's success. They both have skills that impact on both sides of the basketball. And I love the fact that both of them are relied on in clutch situations for their respective teams because they're so good. So ultimately, you can throw a blanket on them if you're going to talk about who's Rookie of the Year right now because of what Scotty's done. But I will say this. Winning matters.
Yes.
And if winning comes into play for this rookie race, because both these teams are going to be playoff teams, I think you're going to go with the record and say whomever's record is better, take that guy, because trying to separate the two, to me, is such a fine line. And if you're going to go by stats, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
No, I almost wish that we could do ties in this league.
Co-Rookie of the Year
It's happened twice. It's happened twice. Jason Kidd and Grant Hill, Elton Brand and Steve Francis. So it's not unusual.
Okay, well, maybe we'll see it again this season. But now we're going to head to a feature that I had the privilege of producing as well. Vanessa Wallace, she's a change maker on and off the court. So let's hear what she does.
When you're trying to address a lack of gender parity in leadership roles, you don't have the mindset that, well, women don't apply, but actually it's the system that creates these barriers for pathways to leadership. I know I've been very, lucky and privileged to be able to do that, so it makes me motivated to create the same opportunities for other people. I'm super lucky to be able to have the balance between working at MLSE Launchpad and Canadian Women in Sport because I get to see firsthand how the policies and relationships and advances that are being made at Canadian Women in Sport benefit the girls I spend my weeknights with. Navigating communication in my role and in my industry is really important because we work in a social equity space, and so it's really important to get the language right. As a sport and gender equity organization, we spend a lot of time laying the groundwork, and oftentimes equity deserving groups can be the ones who are problematized. It's really important to see women like Jennifer Quinn in positions in the front office and in decision-making roles because, again, it creates that positive cycle where girls and young women see themselves in those roles. The impact that I hope to make in my career is really to just be able to create small positive improvements within the sport space so that everybody can show up exactly as they are and benefit from everything that sport has to offer.
We're now going to head over to Amy Audibert.
Thanks so much, Savannah. Let's chat a little bit about the next visitors coming into Scotiabank Arena, and that is the Indiana Pacers. They've got to be pretty excited about what their trade looked like at the deadline. They acquired Tyrese Halliburton and Buddy Hield. They did give up Domantas Sabonis, but things are looking pretty good for Indiana right now, and it starts with Tyrese. He is by far one of the more, I'd say, exciting younger shooters in this league. He's only in his second season, and in his 18 games with the Pacers right now, he's averaging 17 points, 4 rebounds, over 9 assists. So he's completely dominating the offensive side of the ball. And of course, his buddy, literally Buddy Hield, in his 6th season is averaging 18 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists with the Pacers. Some of those numbers are amongst his career highs as well. So both of these guys have come in, made an immediate impact. And in terms of the future and where the Pacers want to build, these 2 guys are taking advantage of those opportunities. And speaking of thriving with the Pacers, we've got to give it up for our fellow Canadian, Boucher Brissett. In his 3rd season of NBA basketball, he did have his cup of coffee with the Toronto Raptors in his 1st season, suited up for both the 905 and the Raptors, but really finding his fit with the Pacers. Let's not forget, this is a team that Rick Carlisle's come in and really has that sense of rebuild. So O'Shea is fitting a system. He's averaging 8 points and 5 rebounds. More importantly, shooting right around 40% from the field. So he's efficient, a 6'7" small forward. You can always use a tough guy like that. He has thrown down some monster jams. He's gotten the crowd on their feet, and that's what you want to see for a team that isn't necessarily in a playoff push right now, but all they're doing is about the future and rebuilding, and they certainly have a nice foundation with some young guys, including our guy O'Shea. Since the trade deadline, the Pacers are at a record of 6-12. So this is a team that is completely focused on the rebuild, probably hoping they can put themselves in a nice position for some draft picks. On the other side, if you're the Toronto Raptors, we know how these Eastern standings are looking. Every single game, every win, every loss could weigh heavily. So the Toronto Raptors cannot afford to struggle against teams that especially are below 500 right now. This is the time to shine. When you look at the Pacers, they give up 51 points in the paint. This might be an area for the Raptors to really get out and attack on their home court. And really, this is business. Take care of business. You have to win against these teams, again, that aren't necessarily, they'll come out and compete, but their season doesn't rely on a win or a loss. For the Raptors, it's more important.
As always, appreciate you, Amy. Now, you can catch the Pacers game Saturday, 7:30. Watch it on TSN. Listen to it on Sportsnet. From myself, Savanna Hamilton, as well as Paul Jones and Sherman Hamilton, Amy Audibert, Jake LaRue, Armando, and Garth. Thank you for watching another episode of Raptors Today.